Mind control experiments. Let's start with one of the creepiest ideas, controlling a person's thoughts without them knowing. Mind control experiments are based on the idea that you can break down a person's identity and rebuild it however you want, like reprogramming a computer. Scientists have tried using drugs, hypnosis, and even sensory deprivation to do this. The goal? Turn people into perfect spies, or assassins, or just find out how much control is even possible. In the 1950s, the CIA ran a secret program called MKUltra. They secretly gave people LSD to see how it affected their minds. Some of the test subjects didn't even know they were being drugged. Others were kept in dark rooms, blasted with noise, or hypnotized for days. It was all about control, and the results were terrifying. Some people lost their memory, others went insane, and no one was ever held responsible. Isolation and sensory deprivation experiments. Now imagine this: no sound, no light, no contact with another human for days. These experiments test what happens to the human mind when it's completely cut off from the world. They're based on the idea that our brains need stimulation, and without it, things get weird. Ancient rulers like King James IV of Scotland reportedly raised babies in total silence. No talking, no touching, to find out what language humans would speak naturally. Obviously, it was cruel and damaging. Modern science has tried similar things in labs, like using sensory deprivation tanks, where people float in complete darkness and silence. After a few hours, many people hallucinate, feel like they're leaving their bodies, or completely lose track of time. Imagine that for days. Reanimation experiments. These are experiments where scientists tried to bring the dead or parts of the dead back to life. The idea sounds like sci-fi, but researchers have tried keeping organs alive, restarting hearts, or even reanimating heads. In the 1940s, Soviet scientists connected severed dog heads to a machine that pumped blood through them, and the heads responded. They licked their noses, reacted to sounds, even moved their eyes. No body, just a head. It was meant to test emergency resuscitation techniques, but yeah, most people just saw Frankenstein-level horror. Pain and endurance testing. These experiments ask a dark question: how much suffering can the human body take? They're done to study survival, pain thresholds, and the limits of the human body. But often, these tests were done without consent, basically torture disguised as science. In Nazi concentration camps, prisoners were forced into ice water or left outside in freezing temperatures so doctors could learn how the human body responds to cold. They tested things like how fast people froze to death, or whether warm baths or body heat worked better to revive someone. It wasn't science, it was pure cruelty. Twin and cloning experiments. This type studies genetics versus environment, especially with twins because their natures copy-paste. But instead of observation, some scientists experimented on twins in brutal ways to figure out what makes us who we are. At Auschwitz, Dr. Josef Mengele performed experiments on twins, often children. He injected dye into their eyes to try to change their color. If one twin died, he'd kill the other to compare their organs. It wasn't about research, it was about control and a twisted obsession with purity. Mass control and behavior experiments. Finally, we have experiments that aim to influence large groups of people, using media, chemicals, or fear to shape thoughts and behavior on a massive scale. Before MKUltra, the US ran Project Artichoke, testing ways to hypnotize people into doing things like spying or even assassinating someone. Sounds like a movie plot, but it was real. These projects were precursors to everything from propaganda research to lie detector development. So yeah, the science has done amazing things, but also terrifying ones. These forbidden experiments weren't just about curiosity, they were about power, control, and crossing the line of what it means to be human.